In December of 2018, Corpus Christi Church in St. John's had a display out in front of their church, display of the nativity scene with figurines that were actual life-size figurines. And during the Christmas season, the figurine of baby Jesus was stolen. Somebody decided to take it, and of course, the congregation were shocked. And they had no idea, and I guess they had called the police, but they couldn't find out where it went. A year later, they started to get ready and decided, well, we're going to put up our scene, but we're still missing baby Jesus. And then, almost miraculously, overnight, baby Jesus appeared in the manger again. Father Joseph Barton was pleasantly surprised. He said that the church members were all delighted that the manger scene was once again complete. He went on to say that there was a sense of joy and a sense of peace, and that there is goodness out there. Well, we can only speculate as to what happened and why this particular person, whoever it was that took it, decided to bring it back. But maybe he had a change of heart somehow or other. We don't know. The light of Christmas maybe dawned on him. The light of the world may have dawned in his life. We don't know. We could only speculate. Isaiah tells us that the light has come. Unto us a child is born. And so, what's the implications for us? What's the implications for us today? If Jesus is really, as Isaiah wrote, mighty God, everlasting Father, then we can't be neutral. We just can't say, okay, we've got this Jesus who came, and he's the mighty God, he's the everlasting Father, and, well, okay, we're not going to be too concerned about that, we're not going to be too excited about it, we're just going to say, oh, well, just leave it be. Well, the people of the Bible days were not indifferent. They couldn't be indifferent or act mildly towards it. They were either against him or they knelt down and worshipped him. And we've read tonight of many situations. The disciples and the shepherds, rather, and the wise men coming. And of course later on, many others, the disciples and many other people came and worshipped, knelt down before him. But this business of being indifferent, being kind of on the fence, that works, I suppose you could say. That seems to be okay with us. But it's not okay with God. God's means is never on the fence. We just can't stay on the fence and say, we're okay right here spiritually. We're either for him or against him, was the way Jesus put it. Paul later on had an encounter with King Agrippa, and some of you know the story very well. And it comes to the point where the king is saying, Paul, you've almost got me persuaded. I'm almost persuaded. We used to sing a song. I don't think we've sung it very often here, and probably not in too many of our churches around the country even. Almost persuaded. But that song ends the same all the time. Almost, but lost. And that's the way it is with this Christmas story. Either we accept it, or we're lost. So we move on. If Jesus is the mighty God and everlasting Father, and then we go on to say, Isaiah went on to say, He's the wonderful counselor, the Prince of Peace. If He is indeed the wonderful counselor, the Prince of Peace, then we should want to serve Him. God has been really born in a manger. We have something that no other religion could ever claim. God coming to earth to be one of us, to understand us, to know what we go through, to experience life as we experience. Well, Christmas shows us that He knows us through and through. When we talk to Him, He understands us. It was only Jesus who came to save us by going to the cross. Voluntarily, freely giving, sheer love. That's all it was. It was completely out of love. In short, Jesus became the light of the world for us. In John 8, we read, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. But let's move ahead. Let's bring it ahead to December 24th, 2020. We've heard this year a number of times, I think I heard many of the mayors and municipal leaders making a plea that on a certain day that people would turn on their lights. They would turn on the Christmas lights and there would be that expression of joy. Somebody was telling me just yesterday, I think it was, that the number of people visiting Fort Grave, you know, and you've seen on the TV at least, the lobster pots and the Christmas tree that they've got there, and of course for years they've had the boats. But this year, they have had all kinds of traffic snarls because people are flocking there to see the lights. See the lights, the beautiful lights, different lights. But there's something about the light that people want. And even in these days of COVID, there's still that light to light up the world. Jesus said in John 15, you are the light. You are the light. And regardless of how bright those lights are there in Portagrave, and how many there are, we can't see them here. And, you know, if I decided to put a whole lot of lights over there, some people around the cove would be able to see them. But most of you, where you live, you wouldn't see them. But you know, this little light that you found on your chair, if you turn it on, and even if all the rest of the lights in the building were turned off, and Bill, if you don't mind, if you could turn off the lights up there, and you might need to go down the back there, I don't know how much. Keep turning, screw them around, or whatever you got to do with them. There we go. The Christmas tree lights will still be on. And go down the back there now, and there's 3 switches down there. First 3 by the door. Now, it still won't be completely dark, of course, because we've still got one more there. Turn out. Down there. Right there. There should be 3 of them. There we go. Now, we still got these around. But just imagine that they were all off. Every other light was gone. You'd still have that light in front of you. You still have that certain amount of light, and some people, you know, they love to have a little light like this nighttime. There's something about that dark room people don't like. And my wife likes likes to have a light there, so that when she wakes up, there's a light. And she can manage, even though it's only a small light, she can manage to get out to the bathroom or whatever. And there's a simple little message for us. It's not a big light. It's not going to be seen way over on the other side of the cove. It's not going to be seen in other communities. But it'll make a difference where you are. And during this Christmas season, your light will not be a light that, I don't know, U.S. President, anything in the news these days, and or a Prime Minister or world leaders. It's not the light that they will have. The real story is that their light is just like yours. It's a little light. Sometimes their ego is big enough to think it's a big light. Sometimes maybe we think our light is a big light. But what happens if we all turned out these lights? If they all go out, then where's the message of Christmas? Where's the real message of Christmas? And the answer is, it goes out with us. It does. If your light goes out and my light goes out, then there's no story of Christmas in our part of the world. So the responsibility is for you this year to keep your little light shining. That little light, whatever it might be, however small it happens to be, keep it shining. Keep it shining for the Lord. Isaiah said, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. But those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned on those people. Regardless of the darkness of COVID and all the terrible things that might happen and could happen, no matter how deep the darkness, a light has dawned. Let's do our part. You do your part, I'll do my part. Continue to let that light shine. Christmas, not what it was, doesn't have to be what it was, but it is what you make it and what you share in the days ahead.